teach me the ways. And I had this one teacher who used to be in the Olympics for culinary, Chef Daniel Verano, and he was always trying to show me pâtés and terrines and all that. He was into like that kind of stuff, like buffet catering, platters, aspic, and that realm of things, which was where the competition was back in the day. Like, you didn't make dishes, you made fucking big ass like platters of meats and shit. So I'm doing this schooling, and during this time I'm still playing video games, and just like hanging out with my friends, and then I got a job. I started working at KFC, right, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's where I got the cook lifestyle, and you don't think so, right? And I wasn't even cooking. I was a server / cashier, meaning I would pack up the chicken and the mashed potatoes and shit, and then take the money and be the person that talked to you. But I remember I loved the pace, and I loved the scumbags that I worked with. It's the first time, like, it's the first place I learned how to buy weed. And it was, I didn't start smoking weed there, but when I did start smoking weed, that's where I bought it. And we'd go out in the back dumpster area and smoke weed, and then people would come to the drive-thru, and we'd like go take their order. Or sometimes when the manager, who was closed, was not there, we'd close the restaurant at like 8, and we were supposed to be open for another 2 hours, but we'd just be like, fuck it, let's just get high, close the door, cook some chicken, clean up, and we'll get out of here early, Because believe it or not, you were fucking busy at KFC. Busy. I'm talking about line out the door busy. Line of cars out the drive-thru. Doing, I would look at the receipts at the end of the night. We pull in $30,000, $35,000 a night. Now being a chef, I look at that and I'm like, they were killing it. Making $30,000 in a Meriden, Connecticut KFC. Not to mention, like, what do KFCs in New York City make? That's ridiculous. Great restaurants don't make that much money. You know what I mean? On normal nights. Not going to say not really busy nights, but like normal nights. So here I am, again, in high school, right, going through my shit, going through puberty. I remember when I didn't have leg hairs, and I was like, why won't my leg hairs grow? Because it was like all the other kids had hair on their legs, and I'd be like, I'm so far behind, right? But then I grew tall over one summer, and I like hit my stride, and I was like, all right, there it is. But even to this day, I realize, like, I'm not grown. I'm still scratching the surface on what is grown. And if you think you're grown and you're my age, or you're fucking 45, you're still not there, B. All right, fucking take it back a few. You still got something to learn. But I had a decision at that time. I started running cross country, and cross country was cool because the chef of the freshman and sophomore class was the cross country coach. So I got really close with him, and he told me that he went to Johnson & Wales, right? So I was like, my parents want me to go to college. I don't know where the fuck to go. And I looked this place up, on America Online, and it was like, I realized that I didn't have to take the SATs, and I also realized a little bit that going to culinary school is not real school, right? So I figured that if I went to Johnson & Wales because they had 4-year programs, I would be going to school, but not really going to school, if you get what I mean. Now, many years later, I regret that decision because I'm still fucking paying it off, and the school loans are fucking crazy. And I know you guys are with me. Some of you guys are with me here. So thank God to all those that did your due diligence and got your scholarships and wrote essays for money, because right now I'm wishing I would have done that. But it's okay. We live and we learn. We move on. So I go to Johnson Wales, right? I say, let me do this. So I go to Johnson Wales. My mother drives me there, right? I remember going to the dorms the first day. She drops me off. She's like unpacking my clothes and shit. I'm not asking her to do any of this. She's just doing it. I think she feels nostalgic. I go to the thing to get my ID and all that, do all that. Then I meet some kid there, right? My parents leave, and I meet some kid, because I smoked weed at the time, and I didn't have any weed, so this kid had some weed, and I met him, and we went up and smoked some weed in this neighborhood in Providence, Rhode Island. My first day in college. I have no fucking clue where I am, who I'm with, right? So you're just kind of navigating this new world that you live in. And, that's when I met Tyler Vorse of Truffle Shuffle. And, things happen in your life for a reason. And, they always say, well, God's plan, and you have a path, and God's path. I believe that there is a higher power. It may not be the God that is in the books, but there definitely is something that is putting things in line, right? So I meet Tyler, because Tyler has been a great influence in my life. So I meet Tyler, and we become the best of friends, and we actually end up living together for all 4 years of college, And at this point, I had never worked in a restaurant, right? I had done, internships at hotels and shit like that, but I never worked like on the line at a restaurant. Until I met Charlie Apple, right? Now, Charlie Apple, he didn't let me tell this story on his podcast, but I will tell the story on my podcast, right? Because it's my story, goddammit, and I just don't want his mother to get mad at him, right? So, first time I met Charlie Apple, I hadn't smoked weed in a few days, and I'm like, man, I could really go for a joint. If anybody has anything, right? I didn't ask anybody that. I was just thinking that in my head. Walking right ever, living my life. We go up to a party on Ohio Avenue, right? 87 Ohio Avenue in Providence, Rhode Island. Don't go there now, because I don't know who the fuck lives there, okay? But you've been warned, all right? Don't tell them I told you. So we go there and we party, and this is the first time I kind of seen Charlie Apple around, never really met him. So I look over at him, and he's rolling a joint paper around a nugget, like, meaning he didn't break it down. The nugget was whole, and he wrapped a zigzag leaf around it, right? And then licked it and like rolled the joint, but didn't really break anything up. It was just like a paper around a nugget, right? So he lit it up, and he was smoking it. So I sat right next to him. I was like, I'm gonna get in on this joint, And ever since then, we've been the best of friends, So that's how me and Charlie Apple met. Again, he wouldn't let me tell the story on his podcast, but I will tell the story on mine. All right. So I'm in college, having a great time, meeting Tyler, meet Charlie, meet a bunch of people that are, I'm still friends with to this day. Have a great time in the dorms. East Hall, Johnson and Wales, Providence, Rhode Island. What up? Maddie Kammer, who I also did a podcast with, lived in South Hall. I had a buddy named Grant who lived in East Hall. I'm sorry, he lived in West Hall. That was like where all the weirdos were, like all the weird sexual introverts that actually ended up having way better sex than anybody in college. Like, they would have the weird orgies, and we'd all be stuck having regular sex over in the regular dorms. You know what I mean? But there's definitely a value to being a nerd in college. Okay, I will say that. So at this point, I'm cooking, but I don't think I'm taking it that serious. I'm not like, this is what I want to do. I knew that I needed a backup plan. Because what I've always wanted to do in my life is be a stand-up comedian. That is, like, number one, right? But I always knew that you need something to fall back on. So, and for me, that wasn't a realistic choice. Could it have been? Fuck yeah. I think now, like, due to the strength of my mentality, I think I could have done it. And, life's not over yet, motherfuckers. I got a podcast, right? I might do some stand-up shit. You never know. So I'm cooking. There's a lot of ums in this fucking podcast, too. I'm going to stop doing that, all right? I'm going to make a conscious effort. There's probably going to be a few more, but I'm going to make a conscious effort for you guys, all right? So I start working with Charlie, right? So Charlie comes to my house, and we're trading nuggets, right? And he's like, hey, I got this job, this place called Trattoria Simpatico. I'm the grill cook there. You want to come down and check it out? So I said, all right, yeah, I'll come down and check it out. And, this was my first kitchen job, And so I get there, I do my stage. Shout out to Chris Karuba and Chef Farrell. And, it goes well because I know Charlie. I mean, I just cut some fucking lettuce and shit. I didn't do anything crazy. But basically got the job. I was super grateful. I'm on Garde now, right? I'm on Garde at a restaurant. Never done that in my life. And you quickly realize how much you don't know when you start working at a real fucking restaurant. Because up until this time, you work at school where you have safety nets. And here, people look you straight in the eyes and say, are you fucking stupid? Why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? So it was a real wake-up call when it came to that kind of shit. And I'm grateful for all of those wake-up calls. Like, there was not one that was uncalled for. I'm grateful for all of them. And actually, there was Kathleen Champagne was the one that taught me how to make the sickest vinaigrettes. You know what I mean? Because, you learn in school how to make a vinaigrette here and there, but there it was like you made vinaigrettes every fucking day. You emulsified shit every day. So there's no way that she was going to let you break anything. You know what I mean? So she would always show you the right way to emulsify things, and I think that she was not a chef by any means. Didn't go to culinary school, just was a cook and was a fucking badass at it at the same, like, could bang, could just work at high pace, high stress, fuck it, let's get it done, she was a badass. She was a fucking badass online, I don't think she cooks anymore to this day, but, fucking badass. Taught me a lot. And, so I got Charlie on grill, I got me on Garde, and this classic fare, so, it's Caesar salads and sherry vinaigrette, black pepper salads, and shit like that, So I worked that summer, get my ass kicked there. I was grateful that I could go to the bar because no one carded me. I looked a little older, and I was the only brown guy around, so I guess they didn't card me. So I would just drink and whatever at the bar with everybody else. So I started having shift drinks pretty early, And during this time, I'm living in Providence, so the commute is 45 minutes, to Trattoria Simpatico in Jamestown, Rhode Island, which is beautiful. Actually, at the end of the night, sometimes we used to go jump off the pier, and there would be those bioluminescents. And the more you kind of wave yourself in the water, the more the bioluminescence would shine and shit like that. So, we'd always do that at the end of the night till Chef Farrell was like, hey, the fucking sharks come up to feed at that time, and we were like, oh, we got freaked out, we didn't go again. He was probably wrong about that, but I wasn't gonna put his knowledge to test, at that time. I loved working there. I thought the pace was awesome. It was fucking 400, 200 for lunch, 400 for dinner every fucking night. We'd get our asses handed to us, and you felt good. You cleaned, you worked hard, you cleaned hard, and you drank hard after. And that was the way it was. And that summer was amazing. I learned a lot about myself, a lot of what I could take, and if I really wanted to do this thing that I was spending so much time on, And I think the answer was yes, like, fuck yeah, let's do it, right? So the next, year, right? I don't work that whole year. You know, I'm kind of hustling, selling some weed on the side and shit like that. The next year,